The Overland Campaign was a series of battles fought in Virginia during May and June 1864 as part of the American Civil War. The Southern Confederacy won all of the battles, but the Union forces continued to advance after strategic losses where they suffered greater casualties. As historian Eric Foner points out, the South won the Overland Campaign in the small picture, but the Union won in the big picture. President Abraham Lincoln had just appointed General Ulysses S. Grant, the General-in-Chief of the armies of the United States 2 months earlier in March. This position had not been held by anyone since George Washington. Grant thought that there had not been cohesiveness among the Union generals up until this point. Therefore, Grant made a plan to have 5 armies attack the Confederacy all at once. The two main armies of the Union, General George Meade's Army of the Potomac and William Tecumseh Sherman's Army Group at Chattanooga, would follow Robert E. Lee's and General Joseph E. Johnston's armies respectively. Grant decided to assist Meade in taking on Lee. The first battle of the campaign was the Battle of the Wilderness, which took place between May 5th and 7th. The Wilderness was fought in the vicinity of the Battle of Chancellorsville, which took place only a year earlier. The Union suffered about 17,000 casualties, while the Confederacy suffered about 11,000. The battle was tactically inconclusive, but Grant continued his offensive after the battle. General Grant disengaged General Lee's army and tried flanking to the south, where the two armies met the next day for the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse. The Union suffered 18,000 casualties there, while the Confederacy suffered 13,000. Again, Grant tried to flank Lee's army to the south, and Lee arrived at the North Anna River on May 22nd in an attempt to prevent the Army of the Potomac from crossing. Meade and Grant attacked on the 23rd and seized Telegraph Bridge. Repulsing a vicious attack by A.P. Hill's corps, other Federal troops crossed the North Anna farther to the east at Jericho Mills. With over 100,000 troops, Grant and Meade outnumbered Lee almost 2-1. At Cold Harbor, the Union suffered 12,000 casualties, while the Confederacy suffered just under 5,000. Mary Todd Lincoln nicknamed General Grant the Butcher because of his high casualties during the Overland Campaign. Although the Union suffered greater casualties in all of these battles, they strategically won them because they eventually made their way to Richmond, the heart of the Confederacy. Although the South won all the battles of the Overland Campaign, the Union won the campaign because it had accomplished Grant's goals of destroying Lee's army, which had lost over 50% of its men, and the Army of the Potomac had worked its way to Petersburg, and eventually to the Confederate capital of Richmond. The campaign was a month long, but Grant lost 55,000 men, and Lee lost 35,000. Sherman was free to do his work in the West, while the Army of the Potomac was entrenched at Petersburg, and would eventually take Richmond, the capital of the Confederacy.